The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. This is Derrick Lambert with Hunger Free Vermont. Excuse me for the delay. We had a problem with the webinar. We had a problem with the webinar technology, but we were able to get everything going. I'm glad you're here today. We're going to spend a couple of minutes getting started on today's webinar, Summer Success, a guide to planning your summer meal program. I see we still have a number of people who have not signed on yet, so we'll wait a minute. My name is Derrick Lambert, and I am alongside Nancy Lewis with the Agency of Education. Nancy, are you there? Hello, Nancy? Okay, maybe we can't hear her yet. Let's see. Okay, while we're waiting, using your webinar technology, how to participate. As you can see on the screen, we have the audio mode with a number you can dial in if you are not able to listen on your computer. If your computer does not have speakers or audio, you can call in with a number with an access code and a PIN. As you can see also, you can open or hide the side panel and raise your hand to ask questions. Also, you can type those in. If you're having troubles connecting, or if you are not hearing me, please write a question in, and my colleague Jonathan Harris will help you out. You can also hang up and redial or contact us at 802-865-0255 or by email jharris@hungerfreevt.org. As mentioned, my colleague John will be happy to help you. All right, so we're going to wait another minute. I see that we still have a few more people to sign on, and we'll get started. Hello, Nancy, can you hear me?
Hi, Derrick, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you. So, once again, sorry for the delay. We had some technical issues, but we are ready to start.
Yeah, I think you want to keep me on mute because I'm in the airport. I have to board at 20. I don't know if you saw my email.
No.
I have to board at 20 of 3.
Okay.
So I'm in the terminal. It's very loud, and I don't think you're going to be able to keep me. I mean, I'll try to answer questions, or maybe I can type in answers. Not sure how effective I'm going to be. It's very loud
Well,
here.
you sound fine, so we'll go ahead and get started, and you'll just let us know if you need to go, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Let's go ahead and get started. So, once again, this is Nancy Lewis, Child Nutrition Consultant with the Vermont Department of Education, and Derrick Lambert, Child Nutrition Advocate, Hunger Free Vermont. And today we're talking about planning a summer guide to planning your program. And once again, I want to start with a few basic things. Why summer food? As most of you know here, summer food sponsors, past, present, maybe you're just new to the program. Summer is a time when kids lose access to nutritious school meals that are otherwise available the rest of the school year through the school breakfast and school lunch programs, as well as after-school snacks and meals. When kids lose access to this healthy food that they have during the school year, the risk for hunger and childhood obesity increases. It's also a challenge for families who are then having to cover those meals out of their already stretched budgets. And summer meals support activities programming, which is also essential to classroom success. Summer learning loss, the summer slide, can account for up to 2/3 of the achievement gap by the time a child enters high school. So when we think about, healthy, nutritious meals during the summer break and the activities that can be paired with those, this is really essential to giving all children equal access to opportunity in the future and their overall well-being. So a few key points for summer to keep in mind are to always communicate. You have partners here in Hunger Free Vermont. I am the Summer Child Nutrition Advocate here. Our entire team is here to help you with any questions you may have. Nancy Lewis at the Agency of Education, we are there to help you with any questions that may come along. And we also encourage sponsors to communicate ongoing throughout the summer with their site sponsors, their site managers, and their staff to deal with any problems as they come up because, the program will require you to make changes sometimes. Things come up, whether it be weather or field trips, meal preference. Expecting to make changes and being ready for those things can help make your summer program all the more successful. Don't underestimate the importance of good food. High-quality meals have been shown to increase program participation and retention, and they are a huge asset to the activities and other programming that may be going on. And once again, with these webinars, during the webinars, before, after, you have a brainstorming partner with the Agency of Education and Hunger Free Vermont. So I sent everyone a planning tool along with the invitation to this webinar. It says Hunger Doesn't Take a Vacation on the front page. It's about a 15 or 16-page document that is really there to help you with planning for your program. And what you see here is the table of contents broken into 5 sections: the sponsor self-assessment, making your master plan, applying to participate, training, and operating and monitoring. Between these 5 sections, this should be a lot of, it's kind of a roadmap. You can think of it as a roadmap to getting your program where it needs to be by the time summer gets here, so that you're not taken by surprise with new challenges, so that you have the chance to prepare for those, and also to develop that helpful, essential communication with your partners within and outside of the food service program, so that everyone is on the same page and so that things run smoothly and kids are fed. Sponsors who are with us today, whether you've been here for many years or you're just starting, we would like to just begin with a review of what the difference between a sponsor and a site. Many of you listening today are sponsors, so you would be the fiscal and administrative agents for the summer food program. You coordinate the meal service to maybe one site or to many sites, and you file claims directly with the state and receive reimbursement for meals served. Sites are the physical locations where meals are being served, and site supervisors are responsible for the meal counts. They fill out the meal reimbursement forms that are then turned over to the sponsor. Site sponsors or site managers also enforce meal service regulations and make sure that all meals served correspond to the meal pattern requirements that we see in the summer food service program. So that's just a first word that we would like to begin with. One place to start, and it's the first section of the planning tool that I sent you, that's page 3 of the document, is the sponsor self-assessment. If you're a new sponsor, you can review this self-assessment to identify areas where you may be totally prepared, or there may be some areas where you're a little unprepared and you may require some extra assistance. This is a helpful chart to look at, whether this is your first time running the program or if you've been running it for many years, to see what challenges lie ahead, what are the things that you have already dealt with, what are the things that you are ready to take on, and where might you need to plan some more. If you're a new sponsor, this may all seem very new, and you may want to touch base with Nancy over at the agency or with myself, Derrick, at Hunger Free Vermont, and we can help you through this. If you're a past sponsor, have there been any changes? Have there been any changes to what you've done in the past years that mean that you want to look at your planning again and reassess where you're at and to think about how to fill the gaps where need might be, how to make your program better, how to innovate in ways that would be exciting for site sponsors and also for children? So the sponsor self-assessment is really the first step to thinking about where am I in terms of planning and where do I need to focus my energy. As I said, that's page 3 of the planning tool that I sent you. This is a real good first step at the beginning of your thoughts about summer. Then we also go on to making your master plan. That's the next page. And this is the obvious place to start when planning a summer meal program, is to determine where you will provide summer meals and what type of site will operate at each location. Like I said, on page 3, you have the manual for information on types of sites. There are 3 types: open sites, closed enrolled sites, and campsites. Sites should ideally be located in places where kids congregate, because the more kids you can have, the higher the attendance and the higher program retention rate, the healthier your program will be. Nancy, do you have any thoughts to share about these different types of sites?
Well, one is that it's not up for this year yet, but we will be posting a list on our website that will say for a particular town. And I think maybe one of the things that people need to think about, there's often confusion about where are you looking at, which physical location determines the type of the site, and it's the place where the kids are actually eating. It's not where the sponsor is located necessarily. Sites can be separate from the location of the sponsor. So to find out if you can have an open drop-in site, you need to know if you're in a low-income community, and there are many ways we get there, and one of the start places will be that 50% list, which should be showing up on our website pretty soon.
Great. And just so everyone's clear, 50%, that is the total number of free and reduced eligible children that are located in the school that are eating school meals. So if over 50% of kids are free and reduced combined, then that area is area eligible in the entire school attendance area. Even if it's not an open site, there are different ways to get to that point where everyone involved can eat for free. A closed enrolled site is where everyone enrolled in a program, if 50% or more qualify for free and reduced price meals in that specific group, then the entire group can eat for free. So this information is readily available on in the planning tool and on this webinar that I'll be sharing. I'll be sending this out on email. So you want to start with that. What kind of site can we have? Where do we want to serve? And what type of site will we be? So that's a good place to start with making your master plan. And once we get to that point, we can fill out a chart. We have the site name, what is the location going to be, who is the supervisor, what kind of site will it be, and what kind of meals would we be served. We're encouraging people to think, can I serve an extra meal, or can I serve an extra day of the week? Can I extend my meal service from 30 minutes to an hour? Try to think of ways that you can expand service that already exists, or to begin service that has not been in place. This is a good way to increase the number of meals served and to really strengthen the summer food service programs that you have throughout the state. Administration and management. There are lots of administrative tasks associated with running a summer meal program. It is really key early on to figure out who will be responsible and when will the task be completed. Specifically, the online statement of intent, the online agreement, and the supplementary components that go along with that. A budget, media release, sample menu, entering claim data into the online system, entering claims data into the online system, approving and submitting, and who will be the contact person at the sponsoring organization for site managers. This is good information to think about early on. And let's do a little review quickly. What is the statement of intent? Nancy, can you tell everyone present, in your mind, as someone receiving these documents, what does the statement of intent tell you at the agency?
That statement of intent is telling me at the administrator of the state level that you, as a sponsor, are intending to run a summer food program this year. So it's telling me, yes, start communicating with you. You're going to need some training. Let me know that you're in. It doesn't even, at this point, commit you to running the program. There is a deadline on submitting it. So if you're thinking you might run, send that statement in. That statement starts up our communications, lets me know that you plan to run the program, and it may give me some information about sites, but early on, the deadline April 15th for the statement of intent, you may not know all the sites. So don't get too hung up on knowing all the details of your operation at this point. Just think of it as a way of starting a communication with us to say, yeah, I'm thinking about running a program this year.
All right, so what I hear you saying there is even if you don't have all the details worked out, if you know that you want to run a program, go ahead and send in that statement of intent?
That's correct.
Great. And the online agreement, is that a little different for you, Nancy? What is the difference in terms of those? Just help people understand the different levels of these agreements.
All right. So the statement of intent is a paper form, and the easiest way I find to get to those paper forms are on our website, although Derrick is sending you, will be telling you about this, sending you in an email, a zip package of all kinds of paper forms that you can put on your computer. But the statement of intent is a paper form that you complete and then you send back to me, either scan and attach to an email or fax. The online agreement is a secured website, so you need a password and username where you sign in and you tell me or tell the state the details of your program. We then in turn approve that agreement or ask you questions, clarifying questions about it. And that solidifies the agreement that, yes, we're approving you. You may run the program. We're agreeing that you've got all your ducks in a row to get money. And then in that same location as that, in that secure website where the agreement is, that is also where you would go in after you've served meals at the end of a month and tell us how many meals you've served so that you can get a check cut. So it's tied into the accounting system also.
Now, can anyone approve claims, Nancy, or will there be one specific person that you'll be working with for each sponsor?
That does vary, although there are some USDA rules about who is allowed to be to serve as sort of official. Sorry, I'm at the airport, everybody.
I think what Nancy was saying is that there are regulations from USDA in terms of how those programs are, how the claims are submitted for reimbursement, and the online agreement is really a big part of initiating and continuing that conversation with the agency, so that to make sure that everything is in line, to make sure that the lines of communication will be open and transparent. And so the statement of intent can be seen as really the beginning of this process. It is non-binding. The online agreement, you will provide more information. You will continue developing that relationship to the point where it is clear between the sponsor and also the state of who is responsible administratively for making those claims. Is that right, Nancy?
Yes, and what I didn't get to finish was one of the rules is somebody from the sponsor has to actually submit claims to us. That cannot be delegated to a vendor who is providing meals. So that's a key distinction maybe for people to keep in mind as they're thinking about what responsibilities will I have as I'm running the program.
Great. So even if they have a vendor, they can work with that vendor and have a great relationship, but ultimately the sponsor will be submitting the claims for reimbursement.
That's correct.
That's great. Thank you. So that allows us to move on to the next section, which is about food service. And as you can see, as you go back a couple more pages, you get to the part about sponsor budget worksheets, which is really about thinking, beginning to think more concretely about the planning and the preparation of meal service. Will the meals be offered at the same at every site, or will they vary by site? Which meals will be offered, and will any sites require meals to be satellited? This is where you're really beginning to think in the nuts and bolts of the costs that will be associated with your meals, trying to develop a budget. And that also includes some meal delivery and pickup logistics. Specifically for those of you who will have more than one site and more than one location, you may be satelliting meals, and you'll want to include that into your budget. If you have any questions about these things, of course, you'll want to call Hunger Free Vermont or the Vermont Agency of Education. Also, we have a satelliting meals manual that has been newly formed this year. So that means that there is an actual specific manual for rural areas who are looking to transport meals from a kitchen to a remote site. And you can think about that. You can also already begin accessing that kind of information to think about ways to develop a plan, to develop a budget, and think about where can you save money, where can you put more of that money into specific planning that will allow you to make the program more sustainable. So this budget, as you can see, budget worksheet 1A and 1B, is really about thinking about those things, putting pen to paper and getting a dollar amount, and comparing that to the reimbursement to see where you're at. And if there's a problem, contacting us to see what kind of support we can offer. So that's good. That's on food service. That's budget worksheet 1A and 1B. Just again, a reminder, in the summer food service program, the meal types that can be served are breakfast, lunch, supper, and snack. Sites can serve up to 2 meals a day, any combination of 2 meals except lunch and supper, and a campsite, which has activities between each meal throughout the entire day, can be approved to serve up to 3 meals per day. We've covered a lot here so far, so I am going to unmute everyone for just a couple of minutes and see what questions we have, and then we'll keep going. So everyone is, one second, I'm going to unmute everyone. Give me just one moment. Okay. Okay, so you're all being unmuted. Do we have any questions so far?
Yes, I actually have a question.
Okay, can you say your name and where you're from?
I'm calling
Can you say
from
your name and where
Sunrise.
you're from?
I'm in Bennington.
Okay, is this Maureen?
I'm actually asking about the deadline for the statement of intent. It said it was sometime soon. Is there a definite date for that?
It is April 15th.
Thank you.
Yes, it's April 15th. Once again, I'd like to remind everyone that is non-binding, so it is not a promise of anything. It's basically you're indicating. Oh, that's noise here. We're indicating your willingness to participate in the program, and you're initiating the conversation that you will have throughout the summer with the State Agency of Education.
Thank you.
Yes. And we'll be sending that document out in a zip file, and it's also accessible on the Agency of Education's website. If you know there's a lot of noise at your site, could you please mute the line? Thank you. Any other questions so far? Any other questions?
If there's no, I actually have another one, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
If there is another sponsor in the area, we were actually thinking of incorporating this as part of a summer program that we have for low-income students that are in a high school program. There is another program that provides the meals in town, but not in this area of town. And we live in Bennington is predominantly low income. I think it's 71% free and reduced lunch.
Right.
And we would like to take it to maybe the other end of town. Is it possible to have two programs running simultaneously in the same school district or area?
Okay, I'll turn that question over to Nancy to respond. Nancy, could you help us out with that question?
Yes, Derrick, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
I can.
Okay, so the simple answer to that is yes, but the state agency has discretion to work with approval and planning, and also the USDA rule is that school food authorities have first dibs in an area. So Bennington, we would be talking with Southwest Vermont Supervisory Union first to see if they wanted to serve that site. So that is a coordination thing that we would need to work out with you. Yes, it's possible that we could have two sponsors in an area, and it does happen in a few towns around the state.
Okay. Does that help you, Gabrielle? Does that answer
It
your
does.
question?
We are actually a satellite of SVSU.
Okay.
So in that case, so can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Nancy.
So in that case, you would be a site. You wouldn't take overall responsibility for all the sites, but you would be connected into Southwest Vermont Supervisory Union, who would then pass monies on through to cover your costs at your site.
Okay. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, and Gabrielle, the good news is that actually involves less paperwork for you as a site, so that's an advantage for going that route as well.
That's a big advantage.
Yeah. All right. If there are no more questions, we'll keep going. One more time, any questions before we move on to the next part?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I'm going to mute everyone just for the sound purposes, and then we'll keep moving forward. All right. So the next section is about the summer meal patterns. Summer is a simplified meal pattern, as you probably know, compared to the National School Lunch Program, especially with the changes that have been made. There have been actually no changes to the simplified meal pattern of the SFSP in recent years. So this just gives you an idea of the required components in breakfast, lunch, and supper, and snack. We can answer more questions about that, but just to be clear, there has not been a change in recent years to this meal pattern. I know there have been a lot of changes with the school year meal pattern. They have not applied to the summer food service program. So that's just to clarify with regard to the changes that have been made during the school year. So let's move on. Programming and activities is a huge part of a successful summer meals program and a big part of your planning. Sites that offer programming and activities, they experience high participation and retention rates. If any of your sites are located in places that don't offer activities, it's time to give some thought. It's a good opportunity to give some thought. How can we add free or inexpensive activities that give children even more reason to come to sites other than to receive meals? Open sites where everyone can come and eat for free are great. They're very important. But if you can recruit community volunteers or get materials donated for activities and find places where there are high concentrations of children to carry out activities, this is a huge advantage, not just for your meals program, but also for the kids themselves, who once again are going to have the opportunity to be supported to combat summer learning loss, the summer slide. And we also know that physical activity and healthy meals offsets not only child hunger, also childhood obesity. So we see at Hunger Free Vermont, we are concerned on the food piece. We are promoting the summer food service program, but we have great partners that provide programming and enrichment across the state. And we can't say enough, connecting with those people, connecting with those resources is a great way to ensure the success of a summer food service program. A big part of it also is outreach. Programming activities is one piece. The second big piece of success is outreach. We at Hunger Free Vermont have a whole set of outreach flyers and promotional materials with templates to be sent out. We're going to send out some of those materials at the end of this webinar just so you can get an idea of what those look like. And there are many ways to coordinate outreach and promotion efforts. One great way is at the school. Whether you're a school food authority or a non-school food authority, the school that is in the attendance area where your site will be, you need to connect with them and make sure that they know about the site and that they are promoting it to their children. One way to do that, you can send that home in a newsletter. There can be announcements on the radio. There can be papers sent home to parents who are really the big consumers of these programs. If parents know about it, they can get their kids to it. Any kinds of outreach in that way is a way to make sure that parents, families, and entire communities know about the Summer Food Service Program. And so looking at this, ask yourself the question, what are the outreach or promotional activities that we're going to undertake? And here, we've just given a selection of 9 of them. And, whether it's a kickoff event, posters around school or town, the robocalls and the personal calls to families, all of these things should be considered tools at your disposal. Think about who your partners are, who volunteers might be to help you out with this. A lot of this is free. A lot of the public service announcement, info in the school newsletter, releasing a media and press release as required in the program to a local newspaper. A lot of this is free outreach that just takes some time, and that can really help with the success of your program. So think, concretely, how can we reach out to these communities? And Nancy, I don't know if you have anything to say about that, but between activities and outreach, we see that that's a big player in the success of these food programs.
Well, I guess I think I recognize that it's a different skill set. It's a different activity from cooking and running a kitchen. It means talking to lots of people, finding out what's going on in the community, and connecting. So that outreach is really helping other people learn your marketing. You're helping other people learn about what you're doing, but you're also listening and finding out and exploring what's going on out there, and are there some opportunities for you with what you do to provide some services and connecting with what someone else may already be doing. So it involves a whole bunch of other activities that may not necessarily happen when you're running a kitchen.
That's a good point. And as she said, there's no point to have to do all of this yourself. As a food service provider, as someone running this summer food service program, your work is essential to this effort, but you can also partner with other people who have other talents. For example, we've been working at Hunger Free Vermont. We're very excited about libraries. We're marketing 2 libraries, the summer food service program, letting them know, they already have these literacy programs in place. Go ahead and bring meals into that. It's going to help the kids focus, and it's also going to bring them into the programs themselves. So think about who are your partners not only for outreach, but also for activities, and think in terms of partnerships so that the work you do can be connected to what other folks may already be doing. And then finally, program budget and finances is a big part of thinking about this. As we mentioned earlier, we touched on meal planning and giving a real strong look at that to think about where is the money in terms of our expenses, in terms of the reimbursement, and what we can expect. And that's the plug. I want to invite you to please tune in to part 3 of our spring webinar series, Managing Program Finances in the Summer Food Service Program. This will be on April 17th at 2 o'clock. And before then, I want you to please feel free to look all the way through this planning toolkit that we have shared with you before April 17th and bring your questions to share with us. We're going to try to set aside a lot of time for questions, and we really would like you to take this document, to begin using it in your preparations. And when we talk about program finances, bring the questions, the things that are not clear to you, and we will continue this discussion further. So program budget and finances, lots of good information in the toolkit, and we are going to follow up on that more on April 17th at 2 o'clock. Finally, applying to participate. Once you are getting this, you had a look at this, you've thought about these numbers, you've already submitted your statement of intent and password request and verification form by April 15th. You already have all that out of the way. And then you're going to begin completing the online sponsor agreement and the online site agreement. If you'll turn past the budget worksheets, 2 pages past the budget worksheets, you have the documents that are required and the information for the online site agreement. And then the page after that, other ones that need to be prepared for submission to the Agency of Education. Use the checklist in this tool to help you see where you're at in terms of planning. Once you have all of this information gathered, once you have been working to bring these things together, you will be able to fill out the online sponsor and site agreements much more quickly. And Nancy may be able to speak to the fact that if you can get this stuff organized early on, if you can look at these checklists and fill them out, you can save yourself a lot of time when you finally get on this computer and log into the system. Nancy, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me? So that's true, and I think it's a really good idea to know what the questions are. And you said, you know, if you don't have an online username and password, you could send in a form to get that so that you could go in online and see what the questions actually look like. So I think this is a great idea to gather things ahead of time. I think it's really frustrating for people to put information in and find out it's not accepted or something's missing and get some red errors. So it's true. The online agreement is very specific. It wants particular things, and it's kind of good to know that before you get into it.
Yeah. So as you see in Part 3 of the toolkit, applying to participate, the statement of intent and the password request and verification forms, go ahead and send those in. They're very easy. It just begins the relationship. Get those on in by April 15th. That's not time-consuming, and it doesn't require all of this documentation. But as you move forward with the online sponsor agreement and the online site agreement, it will be useful. It will be useful to use that checklist to help out with your planning. Finally, a time-saving tip: double check to make sure that you have all of those required documents at the time that you apply. The planning toolkit is a huge tool for that. And then the training. The state summer food service program training this year is going to be on April 10th in Killington. This is part of a tri-state. This is part of a tri-state training that will be going on this year with New Hampshire and Maine. So for those of you, especially returning sponsors and new sponsors, make plans on April 10th to be in Killington for the Tri-State Summer Food Service Program Conference. And for those of you who are first-time sponsors, Nancy Lewis wanted me to mention that she will also be contacting you after you send in the intent to participate form. She'll be contacting you to tailor training for your needs. So if you're a returning sponsor, please plan to attend on the 10th. And those of you who are new, you will also be getting contacted in addition by Nancy for tailored training and education around the Summer Food Service Program that's based on your needs. And then after that, you'll be training staff and site supervisors. Hunger Free Vermont is going to release a training template just alongside the following webinar coming up, and that will be released by email. So make sure you sign up for the next webinar when it's out, and you will receive a training template for sponsors. This is so that you can train your sites. The goal is to provide you with as much information and as much helpful resources as we can so that you can make training your site staff and your site managers a piece of cake, something that's straightforward and easy to understand, not only for you but also for your partners. And then operation and monitoring. As you know, this is toward the back of it's the final page of the planning tool, the final page, operation and monitoring. As you know, there are pre-operational visits with the Summer Food Service Program, a first-week site visit, and site reviews. And all of these documents are going to be available. They are available already on the Agency of Education's website. And Hunger Free Vermont, we are working with the agency to put together a zip folder with all of the documents that you'll need that will be sent out early next week. So look in your email account, look for this zip folder that will be sent to you with all of the required documents for submitting to the agency to run the Summer Food Service Program. So I hope this tool has been useful. We're going to unmute everyone's phone lines for the Q&A session. We have about 20 minutes. I know Nancy has a plane to catch, literally, so I'm not sure if she'll be able to join us for this, but let's go ahead and open it up for a Q&A session. There are two ways. If you have a question that you want to say aloud, introduce yourself to the group and then please share your question or comment with us. Or if you prefer, you can write your question down in the text box and I will read it aloud to the group for discussion. So I am unmuting everyone now. If you know that there is a lot of noise in the background, you can mute yourself, but I will go ahead and unmute everyone now. Everyone there? There's a lot of noise. Please mute yourself. All right. Thank you. All right. Does anyone have a question? Any questions so far about the planning tool? Hello? I can't hear anyone.
Hello, I have a question.
Yes, Heather, thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, I was wondering, in order to have the summer program, I'll need to attend the training April 10th in Killington?
Okay, that is one way. Basically, the Summer Food Service Program requires that sponsors attend a training before the program begins, and then they also train their site staff. The April 10th training is a good way to do that because there are going to be a host of workshops, and it's in Killington. So that is probably the easiest and most straightforward way to get that requirement out of the way. However, if you're unable to attend it for some reason, if you're absolutely unable to attend it, working with Nancy Lewis, you will likely be able to find some other solution. Does that help?
Yes. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, it's not the one and done. If you miss it, you can't do it. You can't run the program. You don't have to be there, but there is a requirement for a training before you train your site staff and then before you begin serving kids.
Okay, so it's a good idea to attend that one if we can.
It's a good opportunity because you know that training is already in place, and second, it's a great opportunity to network with other summer food sponsors who can help answer any questions you might have.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? Has anyone already turned in their intent to participate?
No.
Hello?
I have not.
Okay. Like I said, I'd like to remind everyone that it is a non-binding agreement, so it is not. You don't have to worry about anything. It's really just the early stage of the planning process where you are initiating contact with the state agency, so that Nancy can touch base with you and so that she can follow up on your upcoming application to help you with any problems you might have. So a good reason to get it in early is that it gives you time to work through the different questions you might have, whether they be about meal requirements, whether they be about the different sites you plan to operate, or even about budgetary concerns. Getting started early is a good place to go ahead and send that form in. It allows Nancy to touch base with you to understand where you're at in the whole application and implementation process so that she and Hunger Free Vermont, we can support you in any way possible.
You're talking about the state of intent?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and where do we find that?
It's on the internet. Actually, the planning toolkit that I sent out has links, several links throughout the document that all go to the Child Nutrition Program's website on Agency of Education, and you will find a link to the Statement of Intent form. You can download that form, and you can either mail it in or email it to Nancy, and that will suffice as the Statement of Intent. That will get you into the system.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you'll also want to send in the password request form. That allows her to create an account for you so that you can go ahead and sign in later on with your online agreement.
Okay.
But both of those documents are on that website, the Child Nutrition Program's website, and there are several links to that in the planning tool that you received.
Okay.
Any other questions? This could also be questions that came up last year when you were running the program. Any questions you might have that came up, things that were frustrating or that were a challenge for you that you would like to share with the group now? All right. Any questions? Okay. I'm going to give you another minute or two to look back over the planning tool, and would like to remind you that this is a living document. So if you see things here that you have questions about, or things that you feel like maybe there's another question that comes up in your mind, feel free to contact me at Hunger Free Vermont. Put my information up here. Derrick Lambert, Child Nutrition Advocate at Hunger Free Vermont. Feel free to contact me with any questions you might have. Also, Nancy Lewis, I think she's no longer on the call. But she is also available for questions. We are happy to work with you and to, once again, encourage these partnerships between the work that you're doing with food service and a library or a Parks and Rec program or a community center. We also are really working with trying to encourage contacts between youth and seniors at senior centers and multi-generational sites, especially in rural areas where there is a limited amount of community spaces. It makes a lot of sense to communicate and to cooperate and to collaborate with these other community partners. Does anyone have an example of collaboration with a library or a Parks and Rec department? Any examples of that? I know that in Milton, Steve Marinelli was able to partner with the Milton Public Library to serve meals there 5 days a week. Also in Barry, Spalding High School partnered with the Aldrich Library to provide meals in the summertime. In Virgins, that also happened with the Bixby Library. So these kind of partnerships are definitely out there. And if you have a question about something like that, if you have an idea for partnerships and collaborations, but you're not sure how that works, please write or call, and I can put you directly in contact with other towns where that's happening. I can put you in direct contact with other summer food sponsors who already have these partnerships in place, so they can explain to you how that happened and how it works. This may be encouraging in your planning for this summer. Okay, I'm going to wait another minute. If there are no questions, we'll go ahead and end this webinar. Anyone else have anything they'd like to say?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you so much. And feel free to contact me privately or directly if you have any further questions. And thanks for your patience as we dealt with the, Nancy had some travel difficulties today. We had some technical difficulties here. So thanks for your patience. This document, this webinar will be uploaded onto YouTube. So please feel free to share it with your networks and to listen to it again if you have any further questions. All right. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Yeah.